Hello, this is an essay by a great mind for the world and the people of the United States. It's called Education and World Peace, and it was a message to the Progressive Education Association, written November 23rd, 1934. The United States, because of its geographic location, is in the fortunate position of being able to teach sane pacifism in the schools. For there exists no serious danger of foreign aggression, and hence there is no necessity for inculcating in youth a military spirit. There is, however, a danger that the problem of educating for peace may be handled from an emotional rather than a realistic standpoint. Little will be gained without a thorough understanding of the underlying difficulties of the problem. American youth should understand, first of all, that even though actual invasion of American territory is unlikely, the United States is liable to be involved in international entanglements at any time. Reference need only be made to America's participation in the World War to prove the need for such understanding. Security for the United States, as for other countries, lies only in a satisfactory solution of the world peace problem. Youth must not be allowed to believe that safety can be obtained through political isolation. On the contrary, a serious concern for the general peace problem should be aroused. Especially should young people be brought to a clear understanding of how great a responsibility American politicians assumed in failing to support President Wilson's liberal plans at the conclusion of the World War and afterward, thereby hampering the work of the League of Nations in the solution of this problem. It should be pointed out that nothing can be gained merely by demanding disarmament, so long as there are powerful countries not unwilling to use militaristic methods for the attainment of more advantageous world positions. Moreover, the justification of such proposals, as those supported by France, for example, to safeguard individual countries through the establishment of international institutions, should be explained. In order to obtain this security, international treaties are needed for common defense against an aggressor. These treaties are necessary, but are not in themselves sufficient. One more step should be taken. Military means of defense should be internationalized, merging and exchanging forces on such a broad scale that military forces stationed in any one country are not withheld for that country's exclusive goals. In preparation for such steps as these, youth must understand the importance of the problem. The spirit of international solidarity should also be strengthened, and chauvinism should be combated as a hindrance to world peace. In the schools, history should be used as a means of interpreting progress in civilization, and not for inculcating ideals of imperialistic power and military success. In my opinion, H.G. Wells' World History is to be recommended to students for this point of view. Finally, it is at least of indirect importance that in geography, as well as in history, a sympathetic understanding of the characteristics of various peoples be stimulated, and this understanding should include those peoples commonly designated as primitive or backward. What stands out to me in this essay is that the great thinker saw world peace as best solvable by an international effort, and it came to pass that we now have NATO. So some serious thought and agreement was applied to this thinking. Whether or not this great thinker was the cause or an inspiration in that process, I'm not sure, but it wouldn't be hard to imagine once you find out who wrote this essay. And that he recommends that history not be taught for the aggrandizement of the ego of a particular country, but as a tool toward the success of world peace in general. I don't know what teachers are doing today in classrooms, especially in America, where political correctness has infected the ideals of an open dialogue, or even of suggestions coming from learned teachers. But I would imagine they just ask questions, and so the answers are considered supplementary. But what this great thinker, and his name was Albert Einstein, was suggesting is that the answers must be arrived at, because otherwise what is school for? I disagree that it is just for answering the questions that we come up with in fancy, or those that are in a textbook. School is about answering the important questions, or at least teaching people how to think about them. Otherwise, it's just inculcation, as he warned against in here, especially inculcation of a military sort. The book is Ideas and Opinions. I've had this book since I was in my 20s. And there are many types of essays in here, including, of course, essays on science. This one is about the heat convections in a cup of tea. Thanks for listening. I'm Carl.